The most common question that I always see whenever there's a discussion between the relationship between Ayanokoji and Kei from Class of the Elite is why did Kei actually fall in love with Ayanokoji? Now, of course, the anime did a decent job showing us the growth of the relationship between Kei and Ayanokoji. However, in the light novels, they go into full-on detail, and the growth in the relationship is shown even more. So today in this video, I'm going to make a timeline as to how this all happened. How did Kei fall in love with Ayanokoji, and why did she fall in love with him in the first place? So let's just begin. Now, I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that anybody who has watched the first season of Class of the Elite or has read the light novels of Class of the Elite since the beginning would know that Kei was never hinted as to be somebody that was going to be important of the story. In fact, there was many moments in which Kei just looked like a background character of the series, or there was not really going to be any huge moments that revolved around her. However, that will all change in volume 4 of the light novel, or if you're anime only, you would know that Kei will become an important character in the series if you have watched season 2. Now, of course, a quick warning, I am going to spoil some things that happen after season 2, so if you're an anime only, once again, you have been warned, because I am going to spoil a few things that happen after the events of season 2. So, of course, everyone knows that Kei and Ayanokoji, the first time they interacted was during the cruise ship arc. I think everyone by now knows what happened in the cruise ship arc, but this is the arc where Ayanokoji found out about Kei's secrets and found out that Kei was not only bullied in the past, but she was also faking a relationship with Hirata, which of course will lead to the most infamous scene of Clash of the Elite, the spread your legs scene, in which Ayanokoji confronted Kei, revealing that he knew everything about her. He knew that she was hiding something about her past, which was her being a victim of bullying, and he also found out, of course, that she was faking a relationship with Hirata. And it was at this point Ayanokoji was testing Kei out to see how far she was willing to go to make sure that this secret didn't get exposed. And of course, Kei showed what she was willing to do to keep these secrets a secret. That was when Ayanokoji told Kei to spread her legs, and while at first she was hesitant, she still did it, because I just showed you how far Kei was willing to go in order for the secrets to not be exposed. But this also showed to Ayanokoji that Kei was actually very useful and he could actually use her for his upcoming plans, thus making her a very reliable person. Now, one thing I've seen a lot of people say that's a total misconception was that this was the moment that Kei fell in love with Ayanokoji, and that is simply not true. After the whole spread your legs scene, Kei did not immediately fall in love with Ayanokoji. In fact, she was still mad at Ayanokoji for what he did, and of course she wasn't a huge fan of Ayanokoji whatsoever, but her opinion towards Ayanokoji will change a little bit in volume 4.5. Now, this is the volume that was never adapted in the anime, and no, season 1 episode 7 doesn't count because that whole thing was completely butchered. All those moments that were supposed to happen between Kei and Ayanokoji were switched to Ayanokoji and Horikita. I don't know why, but anyways, in volume 4.5 there was a segment in which Sudo, Ike, and Yamauchi came up with this idea, which is terrible by the way, but their idea was to hide a camera in the girls' locker room and they videotaped the girls changing in the locker room. Now, obviously this is something terrible to be doing and something that only weirdos and creeps would do, and of course Ayanokoji wasn't going to let this happen, so he got Kei to go to the girls' locker room, get the camera these boys snuck in the girls' locker room, and take away the SIM card that pretty much was going to record all this footage, and switch it to a SIM card that didn't work so that there'd be no footage, so the boys did not get what they want. And of course this went out successful as the boys didn't get any footage of the girls changing. And this is where Kei's perspective towards Ayanokoji changed a little bit, because at first she didn't really think Ayanokoji was a mature person, but after this whole situation she realized that Ayanokoji wasn't somebody that's going to go along with the crowd and do terrible things like what these boys were planning on doing. But of course, even with this whole thing happening, this still didn't change her whole opinion towards Ayanokoji. Sure, it changed a little bit because it showed that Ayanokoji was mature, but that's only it. Kei was still not a huge fan of Ayanokoji, as she still wasn't a huge fan of working with Ayanokoji and did not like whenever Ayanokoji told her to do stuff that she did not want to do. As stated in volume 5, she did not like being bossed around. But it seems that throughout volumes 5 and 6, Kei had gotten used to working with Ayanokoji. But then the relationship would grow even more during volume 7. This volume was pretty much what changed completely between the relationship between Ayanokoji and Kei, because there was a lot of huge moments that happened in this volume that completely changed the relationship. One of them being was the fact that when Ayanokoji found out that Chabashira had no connection to his father, therefore she couldn't really expel him like that, because if you don't remember, Chawashira threatened Ayanokoji, saying that if Ayanokoji didn't contribute to the class and help them reach class A, then she was going to expel Ayanokoji, as she had connection to his father. And as you all know, Ayanokoji doesn't want to get expelled from the school, because if he does get expelled, he will have to go back to the white room. After finding out that Chawashira was lying the entire time, Ayanokoji had no pretty much reason to help the class and reach class A. And it was at this moment that Ayanokoji would just not contribute to the class anymore and not help out, which is why the first thing he did was contact Kei to end the relationship, as he told Kei that she will no longer be working for him because he has no intentions of helping out the class. After revealing this, Kei was shocked, and it seemed that she was sad during the phone conversation because she got used to working with Ayanokoji. So the fact that Ayanokoji was ending the relationship just like that really fast was something that Kei was not expecting, and it seemed that she was really disappointed that the relationship ended. It almost seemed that Kei had gotten used to this relationship and didn't mind working with Ayanokoji, and this will be proven even more during the rooftop scene, in which Kei was pretty much being tortured by Ryuen, because it was at this point that Ryuen wanted to find out the mastermind of Class D, and he realized that Kei was probably the person who knew who the mastermind is and was most likely the person that was working with the mastermind. But even after being tortured by Ryuen and after being threatened multiple times that if she didn't reveal the identity of the mastermind, Ryuen was going to expose her secret to the school, she didn't care whatsoever. It's almost like she wanted to protect Ayanokoji no matter what, because she states in this particular moment that as long as she's able to help Ayanokoji, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what happens to her, as long as she's able to help out Ayanokoji no matter what, and everything that's happening to her is okay as long as Ayanokoji is okay. Now we all know what happens. Ayanokoji goes in, saves Kei, and pretty much defeats Ryuen and his entire group. But of course, the conversation between Ayanokoji and Kei is what really made the aftermath really more interesting, as Ayanokoji asks Kei why didn't she sell him out, why didn't she say who his name was. Had she told Ryuen who the mastermind of Class D is, then Ryuen would have probably left her alone, and that would be the end of the whole situation. But Kei says that she did it for herself, as she is tired of being a parasite and she was tired of being weak. So at this point, she wanted to become a stronger person, something that surprised Ayanokoji, as he was expecting Kei to sell him out. But it seemed that Kei was now becoming a more stronger and better person and no longer being a parasite. This is where we get to volume 7.5, and this is where Kei starts to realize that she's having feelings for Ayanokoji, even though she realized that Ayanokoji was just simply using her all this time and sees her as nothing but a pawn. She still sees that Ayanokoji is something special to her now, even though before she didn't really think much of Ayanokoji. She thought Ayanokoji was just some loner who lacked social skills and wasn't really anything special. But of course that all changed when she saw what he did and the way he rescued her from Ryuen, because as he stated in volume 4 was that if Kei was working with Ayanokoji, then he was going to do whatever it takes to protect her. No matter what happens, he'll always be there if she's ever in trouble. And that was a promise that he fulfilled during the whole fight with Ryuen, something that Kei couldn't just ignore. And to further prove that her feelings of Ayanokoji were getting stronger, when Sato revealed that she was going to have a date with Ayanokoji and wanted Kei to help her out, Kei was not a huge fan of it. It almost seemed like she was jealous that there was another girl who liked Ayanokoji, but because Sato was her friend, she was going to help her out no matter what. Although, even though we didn't get this in the anime, we just got a simple montage of the day. There was actually more things that happened in this day in the light novels. For example, there were many moments in which Kei was clearly not helping Sato out, and it almost seemed that she really was making sure that Ayanokoji and Sato never was a thing. Of course, at the end of the day, it didn't really matter, as Sato, when she asked Ayanokoji out to be her boyfriend, Ayanokoji just simply rejected her, and that's mainly due to the fact that he had no romantic feelings towards Sato. And when Kei asked Ayanokoji why did he reject Sato, Ayanokoji simply says because Sato was somebody that could not replace Kei, something that Kei clearly really appreciated, as she had a reaction towards that comment. And it was during this time, when it was Christmas, that Kei decided to give a present to Ayanokoji, and when Ayanokoji exchanged gifts as well, despite his gift just being cold medicine, Kei still appreciated it, as it clearly showed that Ayanokoji was worried about her, because the only reason why Ayanokoji bought the cold medicine was because he thought Kei was sick because of the whole thing that happened between her and Ryuen, in which of course Ayanokoji thought that the amount of water being thrown at her would result in getting her sick, so that's why he bought the cold medicine. And when Ayanokoji asked Kei if they would like to walk home together, Ayanokoji used her first name, which may not seem like a big deal, but if you don't know, in Japanese culture, the only times people use other people's first names is when they are really close to that particular person. So of course, in the anime, while it did not show that Kei had a reaction towards this, In the light novel, she had a huge reaction as she wasn't expecting Ayanokoji to call her by her first name, because this is something that she would never expect from Ayanokoji. And we fast forward, and in the upcoming volumes, like in volume 8, Kei was still helping out Ayanokoji, and as the volumes went on, the relationship started to become even more stronger, as in volume 9, when it was Valentine's Day, Kei gave Ayanokoji chocolates, and in volume 11, when it was White Day, the day Ayanokoji was supposed to give something to Kei as a thank you for her giving chocolates to him, he gave her a necklace, which at first Kei acted disappointed because the necklace is very expensive and Ayanokoji paid a good amount of money for this necklace. And he also revealed that he had no idea what to give her, so he was just searching stuff online and he figured that a necklace was a perfect gift for a girl. That's what he found according to a website. But despite all that, even though Kei looked unsatisfied, she still kept the necklace, thus showing that she still appreciated Ayanokoji's gift. And this would all build up to what was going to happen in 11.5, in which towards the end we get the confession that I think a lot of people were waiting for, in which Ayanokoji asks Kei to go out with him. And I think this moment was pretty much a very well made moment, because this was a moment that everyone was anticipating, because we all knew it was going to happen. It's very clear that Kei already had her feelings on Ayanokoji. It was only a matter of time when these feelings would come out. And at this moment, it was clearly obviously going to happen, as while Kei was still surprised and shocked, she ultimately tells Ayanokoji that she does like him, and thus the relationship between Ayanokoji and Kei became official, as they're now boyfriend and girlfriend. And one thing that I really enjoyed was also how well they made it also for Ayanokoji, because in his mind he was saying how he didn't really know how he was feeling right now, whether it was happy, stuff like that. He didn't know how his face was at the moment, whether it was smiling or not. But one thing was certain was the fact that no matter what happens, as long as he protects the thing that's precious to him, that's all that matters. And I think that's what really makes it even more better, is the fact that this is something that was bound to happen. And I really enjoyed the build up. It didn't come out of nowhere, it didn't just happen out of thin air. No, there was a lot of build up, and I really do hope that season 3 does do that as well, because this moment is going to be important for the relationship between Ayanokoji and Kei. And that's pretty much the entire video. After this video, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to understand now why Kei loves Ayanokoji. It didn't come out of nowhere, it didn't just happen after the whole scene involving the cruise ship like some people are saying. No, there was a lot of build up, and after saying all this, I think a lot of people are not going to understand why Ayanokoji and Kei's relationship is the best relationship in the Clash from the Elite series. And with that, that's pretty much the entire video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.